When a team member underperforms for the first time, 66% of leaders make the same call. Wait and see if it self-corrects. By Q2, what started as one missed deadline has compounded into a performance plan and a team that has recalibrated to a lower standard. Research is unambiguous. One avoided conversation costs an organization more than $10,000. And in this episode, we're going to walk through first signal, the three-step method that will help you deliver a first-time performance conversation your team trusts instead of resists. Hi, I'm Summer, founder of Driven Connection, and we eliminate inefficiencies that stunt growth. Let's name what's broken. Most leaders confuse the first-time performance conversation with the formal performance review, and they prep for it the same way. Talking points, meeting room, prepared face. And nothing they say lands because the conversation they prepared for is the wrong one entirely. A first-time performance conversation is a one-shot prevention move. Short, specific, low stakes. Picture two doors. Behind door one, a person is on trial. You walk in with a verdict, and they walk out defensive. Behind door two, you walk in with one piece of data and one question, and they walk out a partner. Same observed behavior, same impact, only the defensiveness changes. Timing is the other variable. Door two only stays open for about 72 hours after the behavior. Past that window, even the right method starts to feel like an ambush. First signal, the three-step method we'll walk through later, is built for that window. Crucial learnings research is unambiguous. 68% of leaders won't name when someone isn't pulling their weight. 43% of organizations say a single avoided conversation costs them about $10,000. That's operational debt accruing one tolerated behavior at a time. Let me show you what early looks like. A few years back, I served as an agile coach inside a financial services software company, embedded across 20 cross-functional teams, launching a new online account opening platform for major banks. Same software solution, but different tracks. The launch was the kind that gets watched. Week one, I caught it. Several teams had stopped leaning into the new agile cadence that we'd installed. They'd say yes, 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 and stand up, then go back to their desks and run a different work pattern out of an Excel spreadsheet, quietly, and it was contagious. One team's workaround was pulling adjacent teams into the same pattern. As an agile coach, the default move was to coach, but part of my role there was to critique for improvement, and these were issues that needed to be addressed before the workaround became the new norm. So I ran the conversation that week in a psychologically safe environment that we'd built together. I didn't only get improvements. I got information. The team showed me exactly why this new behavior started. It wasn't that they didn't understand the new processes or that they didn't even want to use them. Someone upstream had told them to do something different, and they didn't understand why that we were changing the way that was working for them. Once I knew that, I could fix the real root problem, not just the one that surfaced. That's the trade most leaders never get. If you aren't willing to be vulnerable and ask why, you never reach the root cause. And if you never reach the root cause, you will never feel the efficiency improvements that you were promised. The platform shipped on time and drove a 20% lift in new account openings. Early conversations buy you change behavior. Vulnerable ones can also buy you truth. So why does a $10,000 conversation get avoided? 3 reasons. The first is the standard was never taught. Many leaders inherit a title before they inherit the discipline. They were strong individual contributors, got promoted, and nobody handed them the rule for the first corrective conversation. So they default to silence or to the formal sit-down that should never happen for a one-time slip. Neither is going to serve the team. 2, the people-pleasing tax. The leader cares more about being liked than the employee cares about being told. Kim Scott named the exact pattern in Radical Candor: ruinous empathy. It feels kind in the moment, but it isn't kind. You're withholding the information the person needs to do their job. Research with more than 7,000 managers found 44% say giving negative feedback is stressful. The leader's nervous system becomes the team's bottleneck. If you're nodding, you've lived these. And 3 is no structure at all. When the conversation is improvised, it feels risky every time. So the leader avoids it, or they wing it talk in generality, and the damage, the relationship. Structure is what makes the conversation low stakes, and low stakes is the point of doing it first. Here's the principle that earns the first conversation its right to land, and most leaders never taught it before they need it. Psychological safety isn't the absence of a hard conversation. It's what makes the hard conversation possible. The principle belongs to Amy Edmondson, the Harvard Business School professor who introduced the term psychological safety into modern management. Edmondson is explicit. A safe team holds people to a higher standard, not a lower one. A safe team is one where the leader can name a behavior on Tuesday without fear of humiliation or punishment, and where accountability is treated as personal ownership of the standard. She calls the place where both safety and accountability are high the learning zone. It's the only zone where performance scales. Opposite, high safety and low accountability, and that is the comfort zone. It looks like a great team, but it produces a mediocre one. The first signal is your cheapest data point, and the only one your team can act on before the pattern hardens. Wait past it, and the cost compounds. You need more data to offend the conversation, and by then, the data is too painful to revisit. Name the first signal the same week the behavior happens, when the data is still fresh, while the conversation can still be light. Let me give you two cases, one famous and one mine. Same decision in both, whether to name the first signal. The most cited story in Radical Candor is about a direct report the author calls Bob. Bob was hardworking, charismatic, well-liked by the team. His first major presentation was significantly below the standard required. The author didn't say a word. She told herself she didn't want to be mean. She procrastinated for 10 months. Meanwhile, the work kept slipping. The team noticed, and the gap compounded. By the time she addressed it, the relationship was past repair, and the record too thin to defend. Bob was let go, and as he walked out, he asked one question: "Why didn't you tell me?" That question should shape ours too. A leader's silence is never kindness to the person it's aimed at. It's a tax. Paid by them, paid by the team, and paid by every other performer who watched the standard quietly erode. Compare that with a fractional COO engagement I had at a small business. We trained the leadership team to deliver the first corrective conversation inside the first occurrence. Same week, never the third. Project timelines dropped, and the team hadn't changed. The discipline had. Same decision, two outcomes. Here's how you run it in your business starting this week using First Signal. 3 steps designed with the first occurrence, not the fifth, and not a formal review. Step 1. Name what you saw. Specific time, specific place, observable behavior only. No labels, no personality, no character read. The verbatim opener in 2 sentences. I want to walk you through something I noticed in Tuesday's sprint planning. 2 minutes, can we do it now? Then you drop the data without interpretation. Say something such as, you ran the session without story breakdowns or commitments. The team treated it as a status meeting. You're not building a case, you're putting one piece of observable behavior on the table and inviting the person to look at it with you. Step 2, name what it cost. Every observed behavior is connected to a downstream outcome. Your job is to name the outcome in concrete operational terms, not moralized language. For example, when that happens, the team's velocity doesn't roll up to the program dashboard that the client is reviewing weekly, and the launch starts trending behind cadence. The person now sees what is at stake without needing you to tell them about whether they should care. The data is telling them. Step 3, open the two-way. This is the move that turns a correction into a partnership, and the one most leaders never make. Ask the question in 2 halves. What would you do differently next time? And what do I need to clear on my side to make that possible? Most leaders ask the first half and stop there. They leave thinking the conversation was hard but fair, but it was half of a conversation. The standard is both halves. Every time. Because the leader who only asks the first half is asking the team to solve the problem that the leader may be causing. Let's recap the first 3 steps of First Signal. Step 1, name what you saw. Step 2, name what it cost. Step 3, open the two-way and ask what you can clear on your side. Remember, the underperforming team member from the top of the episode, the first time moment you almost decided to wait out on, the standard is the opposite. You catch the signal early. You sit down down inside 72 hours. You ask what the team needs so that you can help clear the way. The conversation that scared you turns into the one your team trusts you to have week after week. You're learning, you're growing, and you're building a system-led team where the first conversation is the easiest known, not the one avoided for 3 months. I'm your host, Summer Ames Prodan. We'll fix another inefficiency on the next episode of Driven Growth.